Hi, it's Dean Six again to talk about glass. And I've really struggled with what this first more in-depth filming should be. And I've changed my mind and talked about it with my Paul about 50 times. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about soda bottles to start with, pop bottles in West Virginia. But there's a reason for this. I think I want to challenge you and myself. Maybe I don't need to expand my horizons too much more. But I want us to talk about things in a big, broad context, okay? And I think soda bottles is one where we can start and make some points using it as an example of how big the glass world is, okay? So let's start there. Before glass bottles, of course, we have ceramic ones, clay ones, made in this traditional form that we recognize the bottle. This is probably a stout bottle for holding beer, mid-1800s maybe. This is not really my strength, is to know ceramic bottles, but I love this one. It's got this great band of color around the middle, and the form is classic. Prior to glass, this is the way we would have bottled things, particularly beer, among others. As just a general comment on bottles, if you think they can't be exciting or you don't understand why people are interested in them, go to a bottle show. There are hundreds of bottle shows across the country, hundreds. And there's specialty bottle shows, dealing with different types of bottles and specialty dealers. But things simple as milk bottles. This one is from a college dairy and therefore specifically collectible both geographically and to people who went to that college. This is a Uncle Sam bottle made to hold ketchup about 1900. And this particular fellow will be called a figural bottle. Had paper label down here at the bottom and made for a company in Wheeling, West Virginia to put ketchup in. The company was an early competitor with Heinz called Flackus out of Wheeling. But a great bottle, with great detail. Uncle Sam with his musket, and it's just amazing detail. You can tell American history in glass for certain, but you can tell American history in great detail by narrowing it down as much as just looking at bottles. So this specific little segment is going to talk about pop bottles, soda pop bottles, whatever. I'll walk through history with them a wee bit. This shape would be what we call a squat soda. The earliest form we have, probably the most famous of these would be the Sarasota, New York ones. I love these bottles. These are all West Virginia bottles. Of course, because they're ours, they're West Virginia ones, but they're plentiful in some locales. They have endless variations, and chasing ones from your locality, your hometown, drives collectors in a lot of ways. West Virginia ones are not very numerous and very much sought after. So about 1850 to 1880, give or take a wee bit. This really short form, short neck. It's a little longer neck than usual. It's an unusual form, period. Lip that you can put some kind of a closure around it that will stop the carbonation from coming out. Remember, this is when water is bad everywhere. We don't have plumbing yet. So water is a bad thing. So this water is what we want to drink in our homes. This one has an iron pontil where it was stuck up with a punty, and this, when it was broken off, left a scar. This is an indication of a very specific time period because they learned really quickly this left a scar and they didn't like it. These have been painted with white paint. That's a collector's way to enhance how they appear on your shelf. They are not meant to be that way. They were not that way originally, but it sure does make them look a lot more attractive once you put all these little blue similar forms on your shelf. So squat sodas, mid to late 1800s. Sarasota being the kind of the example of everybody's having that kind of great water. There are a number of them from any state that was a state in that time period. They come in unusual colors. Cobalt blue ones or something in these would be really, really desirable, but mostly collected by location, by geography. So squats, and they're replaced by these. This is a Hutchinson soda. Hutchinson's the name of the patented stopper. It's a strange little stopper in that to open it you push down into the bottle. There's a little metal nub there with a rubber gasket, but when you pull it up, it closes. The carbonation pushes against the closure and prevents it from blowing up or spilling out its contents. Put this on a horse-drawn wagon, start across the cobblestone streets of any small city in America, and it's going to want to explode with the carbonation. This is when carbonated beverages are still fairly young, and what happens is every little town tries to have some soda of its own. And again, geography is the way to collect these. They come from hundreds, thousands and thousands of small towns. Ours, of course, will predominantly be West Virginia. This says National Bottling Works, Parkersburg, West Virginia. On the heel of the bottle, which is the back lower side, this one says, this bottle not to be sold, trying to get you to not take it to some other bottler who will use it. That's why they put their name on it. So the bottle would come back to them. The idea is that you can use it again and again, and they're heavy, they're thick, and that's the whole idea of the bottle. This one says the name of the glass manufacturer. Remind you, this is who bottled the carbonated beverage, not the glass maker. Initials on the back, and I can't see those right this moment, a function of getting a little older. This is Pennsboro Bottling Works, which is the closest one to my hometown in West Virginia. Grafton Bottling Works in Grafton, West Virginia, again painted. And this one is R.H. Williamson and Sons, Huntington, West Virginia. Not a great number of variations in the form, but the slug plate, this ability to say where it's from. Slug plate because you could change it out, and you could make bottles in small numbers for small, independent little guys who are bottling this stuff. And here in Weston, where I live now, local bottling works was like the equivalent of a garage, a very small space, a simple machine, and you filled them up and sold them locally. So Squats, followed by Hutchinson's, and then we start developing some that are unique in their shape, and I don't have very many here. I said that the bottle collection is mostly at my parents' home, and thank goodness, because there are hundreds and hundreds of bottles on our bottle collection, would overflow what's already overflowing here. You start finding, and this is the idea of making your product identified by the shape of your bottle. So these are all uniform. This is the beginning of that. This is Vess Dry, and it's, I think it was like a ginger ale, but look how little the bottle is. But the shape would have told you what it was. This shape leads to, and this is not the early form, shapes like the Mae West Coke bottle, that absolutely famous shape. So you know what's in the bottle without being able to read, without even thinking about it, because of the shape. I would remind you also that these are usually 6 ounces, or this is 6.5 fluid ounces. This is the name of the product, embossed in the glass. On the bottom will usually be where the bottler is. This does not tell you where the glass was made, but where the bottler was located. This one says Marlington, West Virginia. Imagine that. It has an O inside of a diamond and an I for Owens, Illinois. This is a color that was a color of glass that was strongly identified with the Owens factory, a big 2,500 employee factory in Fairmont, West Virginia. So Owens Green from West Virginia. But these we'll come back to later and talk about the endless variety of shapes and the early emerging embossed bottles. After embossing, we have Squats, Hutchinson's, embossed. Then we go to pyro or painted sodas. These are today very collectible because people can remember them. These are the ones that were in the soda machines for 10 cents, 15 cents in the 40s, 50s, and into the 60s. Here are 4 variations on one called Mountaineer. Again, how can you not be talking about West Virginia with that name? And the bottling works this time is on the back. This one is by Spencer Coca-Cola Bottling Works in Spencer, West Virginia. This one is Coca-Cola Bottling Works of Clarksburg, Coca-Cola Bottling Works of Pennsboro, and another Clarksburg. But all of these have the same Mountaineer theme, but slightly different bottlers who made them. You also see how we're sneaking up in size. We're getting a little larger. Americans keep bigger. The number of these that exist across the nation are hundreds, if not thousands again. There's hundreds from West Virginia. So what makes them unique is what the story tells. This one is from Sistersville, West Virginia. And it says Magic Valley Beverages. Sistersville is on the Ohio River. It's where the chemical industries were. And this bottle would not be popular today, but in the 40s, 50s, you have a big factory belching out smoke. which today we would see as a bad thing. But this time, this is meant to indicate industry, success, prosperity. So Magic Valley, where all those wonderful chemical plants were. But they had these kind of individual characters to them. This is Rock Cliff Pale Dry Ginger Ale from Rock Mineral Springs in Rock, West Virginia. A little tiny, again, it's going to be an Owens bottle, because of the green, but painted, still at small size, a really typical bottle from the 40s, 50s. That ability to paint these bottles comes about largely because of technology we developed, as I understand it, to make gun sights during World War II, to print that kind of paint on a gun sight that would stay. So kind of a specific time period. This bottle is here for a simple little side story. This is a Canada Dry Ginger Ale bottle. It says so on the bottom. It's a Carnival glass. And when I was a young man, this was a very desirable bottle because Carnival glass was still one of the most collected types of glass in the 60s. My mother purchased this for me at a flea market for $15 sometimes in the 60s, which was a lot of money at that time for sure. And we've hung on the bottle and added a couple more to our collection since then. But early on, and it's probably worth $16 today, or maybe $14. So value should not be a determining factor in chasing these bottles, I would suggest. Going with the whole idea of collecting pop bottles, these are salt shaker bottles. Salt and peppers are on the table of diners across America. This one says Vaughn's full flavored beverages, and of course, Wheeling, West Virginia. Phone 1754. This one is for the American Bottle, I won't get that right, but it's ABCB, which is the American Bottling something soft drink exposition. This was dated 1966. That year they were in Atlantic City. These are all made by Glenshaw Glass, a nod to Mel Cook, whose family was involved in Glenshaw. G and a square on the bottom marks the Glenshaw, and you can collect just these. They come in all kinds of wonderful different variations. Again, advertising, pitching the soda that's locally made on the tables or as a convention favor. This is a treasure of mine of sorts. This was an experimental bottle made for Coke, and you can tell where, right? That's the green from Owens, Illinois in Fairmont. These were made as a possible prototype, or as a prototype, as a possible product, never put into production, and a few of them snuck out into the Fairmont community, and years ago acquired one for our collection, one for the museum here in Weston, and a couple others. But Coke bottles are unto themselves a major collectible. Remember all those embossings on the bottom that tell you where the bottling works is. This is not an American bottle at all. This is a contemporary bottle, but it's a stopper that's intriguing, and I just kind of tossed it at the end. It's called a cod stopper, and it has a marble in it, which the liquid floats to the top and creates a seal. So a cod stopper is that little marble which the berries will float to the top, and that creates the seal. Originally they had no other closure. Now these have a plastic top of some kind on them, but those do not exist as a West Virginia bottle that I know of, but certainly along the coast, eastern coast of the United States, there are a number of them at the turn of the last century. I'll stop. We'll come back to some of these later, but I want to remind you the challenge in this is to get you a little bit of working knowledge, get you excited, get you curious, and some of our later ones will delve more deeply into a specific topic. I'd suggest to you that if you're just curious about glass or history or material culture, you can't just stay with one particular collectible. You need a little bit of a working knowledge of everything. If you're a dealer, it's terribly important to know these things. You may be walking past a piece that's considerable value, and you need to have some idea of what might or might not be of value. And as a historian, it's great fun because I can talk about places, processes, technology, and the changes in American consumerism, all based on something as simple as a pop bottle. Thank you. God knows where we'll go next, but I'm really having a great deal of fun trying to think about these. Please like this video, subscribe and follow it, and we'll be back soon with some other glass talks. Thank you.